Hello, I am Kira Joe. This is Creative Pursuits. In today's video, I've got another speed paint for you. I wanted to do a singing video next, but I've actually been really sick this week. I've had the flu and I've had fevers, I've been coughing, and so a speed paint it is. But I'm starting this speed painting. The last one I did, I started with a sketch. This time I'm starting with laying down some color because it's a longer speed paint. And I'm kind of just starting with these bright colors. I'm trying out this technique. I can't remember who it was, but somebody's art video that I watched a while ago did this technique where you lay down alternating cool colors and then warm colors, and you just use sheer washes of each color to kind of give a skin tone that has some life to it. So the idea is this creates a skin tone that looks really interesting and colorful, but not in a crazy way once it's all layered on top of each other, and it kind of mimics the way that natural skin has little bits of pink and blue and green and yellow and all these different tones in different parts of the skin where it's thinner or thicker and in shadow versus in highlight. So that's kind of what I'm going for. So I've got some blue in the highlights now that I've got all the tones laid down, and some purples and reds and pinks in the shadows, but you can kind of see that all those colors are layered together. And it kind of, I like the effect that it creates. I'm still kind of playing around with it, and sometimes I think I cover it too much, but I'm enjoying it. Another thing that I've been enjoying doing lately in my drawings is adding some really bright, like hot pinks to the shadows, or magenta or red. It's an unexpected color, and in the shadows normally you would really go dark and not as saturated, but I think it looks kind of cool, so I've been playing around with that a little bit lately. And then here I'm just laying down the hair and the sunglasses to kind of give me a frame before I really start working on details on the face. And this drawing, I used a photo reference from Reddit Gets Drawn Again, and with this one I didn't want to stylize the features so much that they looked perfect and were perfectly symmetrical, so I was kind of trying to get a good likeness for the girl I was drawing. And she had some unique things about her face, as everyone does, where like her eyes weren't perfectly even, and one eyelid was a little more visible than the other eyelid, and so I kind of tried to capture that, and one eyebrow was a little higher than the other. Things like that. So it's always interesting to pay attention to that when you're drawing people's faces, especially when you're trying to make it actually look like them. And it kind of gives it an interesting, realistic effect, I guess, even though this is clearly still stylized in kind of a cartoon type style. But that was something that I really tried to do in this one. And right now her nose is looking okay. I had some major issues with the nose later on, and noses are one of the hardest things for me to draw. It's also one of my favorite things to draw, and especially if I get it right, it feels really good, but I really had some struggles with this nose, so I gave her a nose job a lot, unfortunately. Oh man. So it's kind of interesting when I work on drawing portraits, because I also really like applying makeup and learning new makeup techniques, and so I watch a lot of makeup videos on YouTube as well as art videos. And it's kind of interesting when I add shadows and things, because a lot of stuff carries over from art to makeup application and vice versa. So when I'm working on adding shadows to the nose or under the cheeks, it's very similar to when you add contour with makeup. And another similarity, I'm about to start working on the eyebrows. And with eyebrows, sometimes if you go too dark with makeup in your eyebrows, they end up looking really bold, and it kind of makes you look scary or mad or intense. And I feel like I kind of made, excuse me, sorry, told you I've been sick. I made the eyebrows a little bit too bold to begin with, and so I had to tone those down later, and that helped a lot. Oh, okay, so here comes another nose job, a nose revision. I tried not to spend too much time. I was kind of getting upset as I worked on it. And so I'd work on the nose for a while, then I'd move to other parts of the face or other parts of the hair so that I wouldn't just keep staring at that nose. And sometimes that works well. I think it's a good technique to do if you're getting frustrated with one section of a drawing. Don't keep working at it and overworking it. It's better to work on something else and go back to it later, and you might come up with a better solution. Really, drawing has a lot of solutions. Or sorry, that doesn't really make sense. When I draw, I feel like I am constantly solving problems, and I think it's really good for critical thinking, helping your critical thinking skills, because you're constantly, I guess, seeing something that needs to be done and then figuring out how to make it work. Oh, and I think she's drinking iced tea in the photo reference that I used. I'm so sorry for all the throat clearing and the coughs. Something I thought was cool with the drink is it made me think about how when you're choosing colors and drawing references, it's hard to tell sometimes what color something actually is, and it's easy to just go on autopilot and look at it and say, you know, this tea is brown, but there are a lot of other colors inside of it, so there's kind of that deep maroon in the shadows, and I try to put in some brighter reds because in the drawing reference you could really see some of that red tone because of the sun coming in. Oh, here comes another iteration of the nose, which is fun. So I'm feeling pretty good about my posting schedule. I don't know if you've noticed. I know I haven't had consistent views on all of my videos that I've been posting lately, but I had a goal to post one video a week, and I'd like to up that eventually and be posting more, but for the time being I'm doing one a week. And even though this week has been super rough because I've been sick, I've been so sick, I got a video up today and I feel pretty good about that. It makes me feel pretty accomplished because I wasn't sure what kind of video I was going to make. I felt pretty limited by what kind of video I was going to make. I usually want you to see my face so that you guys really, I guess, connect with me and see my face while, even if I am doing a speed paint, I'd like to do an intro where you can actually see me, but that wasn't going to happen this week. I didn't have enough time to get everything set up, and so anyway, but I still did this video, and I just wanted to use that as a point to illustrate that that it's good to still meet your goals and to try to accomplish the things that you want to get done and to create when you want to create, even if you don't want to create. That didn't really make sense, but what I'm trying to say is some days you're not going to feel like doing stuff, whatever that stuff is, and it's good to make yourself do that. There was a book that my husband recommended that I read a while back. It's called The War of Art, so it's a play on the title, The Art of War. But yeah, The War of Art, and the author of that book talked quite a bit about how you have to treat your art or your creativity or whatever your project, whatever your pet project is, as if it is a job. So you have to have a schedule, you have to stick to it, even on the days when you don't feel like doing it, you have to sit down and do it, just as if you were being, you know, I guess monitored, or someone else was checking up on you and making sure that you're doing those things. So I put in the time and I did this video, even though I was having a hard week and I didn't really want to. I'm feeling really good that I actually did it, and if I hadn't been making a video, I wouldn't have made this drawing today. So it's good that I drew something today and that I'm also sticking to my goal. That makes me really happy. Let's see. I'm trying to think what else I want to talk about. Oh, I really like adding highlights, and I didn't really talk about it with the hair because I was talking about something else at the time. I keep trying to switch back and forth. I'll get the hang of this, but this is only my second voiceover I've done, so sorry if I'm a little all over the place. But when you draw hair, a tip that I have picked up is that if you put in the the darkest shadows first. You fill in those shapes and it kind of gives you a form to work with, and then it makes it a lot easier to figure out where everything else needs to go in the hair. So there's a little tip for you. And I was just going to say that highlights are one of my favorite things to add. So highlights to whatever, to eyes. I'm about to add some highlights to this glass. Highlights in the hair. I really think that they do a lot to make the drawing pop. I think that shadows kind of give you an idea of something's form, but then when you add highlights, it really comes to life. So here I'm adding the highlights to the eyes. I think I might have gotten a little carried away with this, but I was trying to make it look like there were just some big windows in front of her, because that's kind of what it looked like might be the case in the drawing reference. Oh, and this the girl I was drawing had freckles, which I love. I don't have very many visible freckles. I have a few tiny ones, but I love freckles. I think they're so cute. And here I am filling in the shirt, which I think is probably the most boring part. I really should give myself a challenge where I have to work on fabric. I think it would be good for me because I don't love drawing fabric. But it needed to be done, and I had to work on it enough that it would match the rest of the drawing. This shirt was kind of fun in that it had a lot of wrinkles and folds because it was a very loose, comfortable looking t-shirt. Oh, and it's always, this is a fun trick, I think, adding highlights and stuff to the glasses. I use the lasso tool. I can fill in those shapes, and then it doesn't touch anything else because I have that form selected. But yeah, you guys will have to tell me if you prefer if I just talk about a topic throughout an art video or if I actually narrate what I'm doing. I'm kind of doing a combination this time. But yeah, I'm not sure how many people watch this channel who actually draw, and so I don't know if you would prefer a tutorial or if you'd rather me talk about topics that might be more applicable to other forms of art or creativity as well. Okay, and here I'm just kind of refining little details. Sometimes when you get to the end of a drawing, it's really interesting to me that the first hour I'm working on something, it changes so much every couple minutes, sometimes even faster than that, but then you get to the end and all the little details, you can barely see them, but they do make a difference when you add them all together, all the little finishing touches. Here I'm kind of playing around with the background color, and I decided to go with, I used this textured brush. It's a Kyle T. Webster brush. It's just built in on Photoshop. I think you can, well, I guess it comes with Photoshop. You do have to go download them, but that's kind of what I was using. So I just used some colors that were already in the illustration, kind of went with a nice primary color scheme for the background for all these textured pieces. So it's kind of a red, yellow, and blue, pulling from colors that are already in the drawing. And then I noticed that she wasn't popping out very well from the background, so I just kind of added this outline so that you could still see the edges of her clothing. She was blending in a little bit too much, and I still think the background might be a little noisy, but I still like it. But yeah, we are coming up on the end. This is nearly done. So I hope you guys liked this video, and I will probably have some music coming up next. I'm hoping to maybe do some singing videos again. I haven't done any for a while. I'm trying to figure out how to make that work into my new content, wanting to make everything about being creative. So who knows, I might either do a song cover in a very different style from what the original song is, or I might try to write a song. I'm not sure. But anyway, I hope you guys find this helpful. I hope that you find it in yourself to create something today, and I guess you'll see me in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.